If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 9 minutes. Hello, welcome. I am predicting that on January 8th, 2025, Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis due to a bird strike into Busch Stadium. In the area code 314, it will be a burning bush, as described in Exodus 3:14. She will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle. It is predicted that President Trump will die from a heart attack on January 10th, 2025. I am predicting that dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City, and there will be a large-scale evacuation on January 13th, 2025. Martial law will be declared in the U.S. It is predicted that Joe Biden will replace Kamala Harris with Michelle Obama as the vice president. Joe Biden will then step down. Per the 20th Amendment, Congress will vote to make Michelle Obama the temporary president. It is predicted that Joe Biden will then step down and Michelle Obama will become the 47th president, and then she will appoint Barack Obama as the 51st vice president. It is then predicted that she will step down on January 12th and Barack Obama will become the 48th president. It is predicted that on April 20th, 2025, there will be an outbreak of monkeypox or Marburg disease or both. April 20th will be a symbolic beginning to a new pandemic. Alternatively, it could also be that the symbolic beginning to the new pandemic will be on April 1st, 2025, and that on April 20th, 2025, martial law will be declared because of the new outbreak. If these predictions for April 1st and April 20th, 2025 do not come to pass, there will be a relevant prophetic sign that will occur on this date, making this date a step in the trail of signs leading to these particular events. It is predicted that on June 9th, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the fifth trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens. The demons pretending to be aliens will claim to be here to help us with our nuclear weapons, and it is possible that June 9th will be the day Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. At some point, there will be a massive Mary apparition that will deceive the masses, because all Mary apparitions in history have been demons pretending to be Mary. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist, and 5G frequencies. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. If June 9th is not the date for these events, there will be a relevant prophetic sign or prophetic signs, which will make June 9th a step in the trail of signs leading to the date of the symbolic beginning of these things. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. It is predicted that on August 6th, 2025, the historic barge that has been stuck on the rocks of the Niagara River for over 100 years will finally break free and crash over Niagara Falls. The reason for this is that Niagara Falls is Noah's flood symbolism, and the barge was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls. symbolic of Noah's Ark. Niagara in the native language means straight, narrow way, and Niagara's Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, because Toronto and its tower are symbolic of the Tower of Babel. In a game of horseshoes, the object is to aim the horseshoe and throw it at the metal stick, which is why the Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the metal stick that is the CN Tower. God is communicating that as testament for those who will live in the 1,000 years of Christ's reign on earth, the geography of North America will, as a result of a massive earthquake, be divided by a body of water from the Great Lakes to the Mississippi Delta. This destruction will be judgment on America and Canada for attempting to divide God's land, Israel. When this happens, the water in the Great Lakes will spill out over southern Ontario and Toronto. I am predicting that a solar flare will erupt on the surface of the sun and send a coronal mass ejection that will hit Earth on August 13th, 2025. Which will knock out America's power grid and will lead to food shortages. The hit of the coronal mass ejection, predicted for August 13th, that will knock out the power grid will also knock many planes out of the sky. I am predicting that on August 23rd, 2025, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth, which will trigger the eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be at the end of 2026. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived, and more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Make a note right now of these alternative platforms that you can find me on, in case you can't find me later. if you have already watched this introductory information in another video, you can skip ahead no more than 14 minutes. All right, this video was originally produced prior to January 1st and 2nd, and God was pointing to this date in regards to the predicted death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash. This January 1st to 2nd, 2025 date, which is Hanukkah Day 8 in the Hebrew calendar. Now, the way God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel, is that it is an interconnected web, and the full intended meaning of any of God's prophetic signs cannot be fully or properly understood without their context and connections to the other prophetic signs. It's the exact same way with the Bible. The Bible isn't a linear document, and all of it is connected to itself. You can take an infinite number of pathways through the Bible because it is all interconnected. That's the way it is with God's prophetic signs. And so to do this, like a spider web, we need these nodes in which the strings connect to each other, if you will. These are these steps in the trail of signs. So in other words, God is establishing a trail of signs. And one of these steps, nodes in the web, is January 1st and 2nd. In regards to the predicted death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash, it is a step. And we expected either for Kamala Harris to die on this date, or there be it was recognized before January 1st that it would only be a step, but not before the production of this video. But that's fine, because the reason why God is making these predictions in the first place, and this is key, please pay attention. This is the important thing to understand here. The reason for the prediction is not for us to say, oh, cool, God predicted this ahead of time. The purpose of this prediction is for God to tell his stories that he is telling through his big picture of signs, patterns, and connections. And this requires, like I just explained, these trails of signs and interconnected signs that point to a particular date ahead of time, for example. And it is through God's stories that he is telling through these trails of signs that he's able to communicate extremely important information and knowledge, which is only being explained on this channel. Okay, and so this video, after I'm done this introduction here, will be about how God pointed to January 1st and 2nd ahead of time. That needs to be learned so that you can learn the stories that God was telling, and they are amazing. They are not only amazing, the information is important and extremely essential. So the wise person will recognize when the prediction comes to pass that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash on January 8th, that they need to watch every minute of every video on this channel, including all of the Kamala Harris crash prediction videos, including the information for how God pointed to January 1st and 2nd ahead of time. By the way, it's January 1st and 2nd because it's Hanukkah Day 8, and in the Hebrew calendar, the dates begin at sunset and go to sunset. Okay. So regarding what happened on January 1st that confirmed all of the analysis, today as I'm speaking, it is the early AM January 2nd, so there may be more to this, because again, he was pointing to both dates. But regarding what happened on January 2nd, we have amazing signs that I'll briefly explain, but more details regarding these signs are explained in the New Year's Eve or New Year's attacks video. Okay, the thumbnail that says New Year's attacks. Okay. Now, Kamala Harris's plane crash is predicted to be caused due to lightning. There's profound symbolism in this. The reason why is that Jesus said he saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven. He said this in Luke 10:18. Okay, and the name Barack Obama means in Hebrew, lightning from heaven. Barak means lightning. Bama means high place, which in the Bible is a metaphor for heaven. And, for example, Lucifer is said to have fallen from the high place. And also, in the Bible, the high place is a euphemism for the false religious worship that the Jews would conduct on the tops of mountains, which is Antichrist symbolism. And in the language Jesus would have spoken, Aramaic, the word for from is O. And so Barack Obama means lightning from heaven. Either Jesus didn't know what he was saying when he said this, or he knew there would be a famous president named Barack Obama and said this anyway, or he was revealing the identity of the Antichrist. Obviously, the latter option is the only one that makes any sense. This is why we received all of this lightning symbolism on January 1st. First of all, there were 4 profound prophetic, and even the mainstream media is talking about it. Those that don't know anything about God or let alone prophetic signs are talking about this. This coincidence of these 4 iconic locations in New York and Washington, D.C. having been hit by lightning on this New Year's Eve night. The mainstream media is, of course, mocking conservatives who are saying that it's a sign from God that's pointing to the new chapter of America when Trump takes power. But Trump isn't going to take power. The reason why Kamala Harris will fall in a plane crash caused by lightning, which will symbolize when Jesus said he saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven, is that due to her plane crash and her fall from the sky, the Antichrist will rise to become the president again. Barack Obama. Okay, so that's the purpose of the plane crash. This plane crash of Harris's has been known through God's prophetic signs since 2020. Okay, and there's been hundreds of signs regarding this theme since then. Now, in fact, the signs go back well before Harris was even a household name. But that's another story. So we have these 4 lightning strikes, which, by the way, is in itself interesting because we are talking about the 44th president. But there were 2 lightning strikes on the 2 iconic towers in New York City and 2 lightning strikes on the iconic locations in Washington, D.C., the Capitol building and the Washington Monument. These 2 lightning strikes on the 2 iconic towers in New York obviously hint at the 2 planes that struck the Twin Towers on 9/11. Likewise, the 2 strikes in Washington, D.C. hinted at the 2 planes that were destined for Washington on 9/11 to be crashed into sites, including the Capitol building, we think, on 9/11. Okay, and so also, speaking of New York, one of the signs was the New York City story of the day was the heavy rain during the ball drop for the New Year's countdown. Kamala Harris is predicted to drop out of the sky. And I assume there will be heavy rain because she's predicted to have her crash caused by lightning. But also, heavy rain is Noah's flood symbolism. In the account of the flood, God gave Noah a 7 days warning. And so from these warning signs on January 1st, it is 7 days to the date it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash. January 8th was known before, and independently, like I said, it was known before January 1st. And so this is confirmation, this Noah's flood symbolism sign. We are just scratching the surface here, though, of the lightning symbolism on January 1st. Because we also have these 2 New Year's Eve attacks which contain lightning symbolism. First, we have the explosion of the Tesla Cybertruck in front of the Trump International Hotel. Now, without getting into the details regarding Trump, because that's not what this video is about, but Trump is predicted to die on January 10th. But the Tesla Cybertruck is lightning symbolism because God is using in his signs Tesla to symbolize lightning. Not only is it symbolism for electricity, which is symbolism for lightning, but Nikola Tesla is famous for his experiments with lightning. Then we had also, in conjunction with this terrorist attack in Las Vegas at the Trump Hotel, we have what is believed at this point probably to be coordinated with the attack in Las Vegas, this attack also using a vehicle in New Orleans. Now, the attack in New Orleans is highly interesting because it involves this Muslim terrorist that was serving in the U.S. Army for 10 years, and it was in the 18th state to join the Union. Now, 18 is 6 plus 6 plus 6, which is the number of the Antichrist, 666. Also, the Antichrist was born in 1961, and 61 is the 18th prime number. But this 10 years service for the U.S. Army and him doing this attack in the 18th state hinted at Luke 10:18, which is when Jesus said he saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven. Wow. Not only that, the initial reports in the first chaotic minutes after the attack, the media was speaking about, or the headlines were, at least 10 deaths. And so at least 10 deaths in the 18th state is also a hint at Luke 10:18, which of course again is lightning symbolism. What's also interesting too is that the attack occurred at 3:15 a.m. Let's call it 3 a.m. Because Paul Simon released with Art Garfunkel his first album, and it was titled Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. That album was released the day before Kamala Harris was born. Okay, Kamala Harris's birth followed the release of Wednesday Morning 3 a.m., and Kamala Harris's death will follow this attack on Wednesday morning 3 a.m. Now, like I explained, the rest of this video will explain how God pointed to January 1st ahead of time. And like I explained, this information must be learned, and therefore this video must be watched. Now, before I begin this information, I'll also add that now that it has been explained how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, there are 70 videos that explain the trails of signs that led to February 10th, 2024. The same is true for these videos. The information in the videos, the prediction that she would die in a plane crash on February 10th, and all of the information that God